To talk more about how can India's Gen Z take the nation forward, I have two very interesting voices, two very important women. Prajakta Koli, who is one of India's most influential digital creators, and Mirza, who is an award-winning actor and associated with the United Nations for the work she's done in climate and climate advocacy. In fact, Prajakta, let me start with you. As we talk about the kind of work that you've been doing, let me start by asking you that as a Gen Z woman, what kind of a role model do you think you are for women, for youngsters to take the country forward?
I think one of the biggest strengths that the women today, especially at that young age group, have is that they're a lot more daring. They're a lot fearless. They're a lot more kind of gutsy when it comes to putting things out there. I feel like they're a lot more unhinged, and that might just work in our favor in general. So I think the fact that they also grew up at a time where all these conversations were kind of loud and clear for them to consume and learn from online, that changed a lot for them. So I have a lot of hope.
All right. Diya, on this Republic Day, how do you see Indian women redefining freedom, not just for themselves, but for India as a whole?
A woman across stratas of society who is staking claim of her authentic, true voice, who is being able to pursue the full potential of her being, is leading, right? And it doesn't matter what a career choice she makes, whether it is a woman in agriculture, or it's a woman in education, or it's in entrepreneurship, whatever it may be. Each time a woman has access to education, to mobility, to freedom from fear, and access to just, becoming the full potential of who she is, she's leading.
Prajakta, in one line, what does nation building mean to a 20-something-year-old right now, particularly for a young girl?
For me, I think when it comes to nation building, it really is going above and beyond the physical borders of my country to tell everybody about how amazing things are happening around here in my universe, which is the creator universe. For example, a couple months ago, I was actually in a few cities in the US for my book. We were doing a book signing tour. And I cannot tell you the pride I felt in actually going and putting my book next to a lot of these other bestsellers in other countries, saying, okay, here's my representation of the place that I come from. And here's a story that I didn't kind of mince and make into a more palatable place because I want the world to see it. I love that the eyeballs are actually already on the country. I remember going to the UN for the first time and touching our flag in the hallway. And that was my first ever time touching a physical Indian flag. And that feeling is unprecedented. So every time I have moments like this, for me, that's what I want to kind of contribute to going forward, where I want to put whatever the little work I'm doing on the map for people to see that this is a country that can build voices and creators such as myself and so many others.
What about you, Diya, on this Republic Day? What is your one hope for Indian women and one promise you believe women are making to the future of India?
I dream of a country that truly celebrates Sujalam, which is pure water, Sufalam, which is abundance, prosperity. And women and girls cannot be, neglected in this process. In fact, I believe that women and girls are going to lead the way and show the way and define the way for our country and our communities.
Prajakta, on Republic Day, one honest take, is India listening to young women enough, or is it celebrating them only on posters?
Can we listen to them more? Sure. But are we listening to them more than we were till about a while ago? I also think yes. And I think there's like a shared responsibility there where on the one side, of course, you have to think about creating enough opportunities, making writers' rooms and creative places, online, offline, a lot more inclusive. But at the same time, I feel like the women are also making themselves heard. I feel like they are also stepping up and saying that I'm not finished yet, so you will speak after I'm done. And I feel like that is also, so it's a very shared kind of responsibility with getting there. But of course, I mean, I feel like we can listen to them a lot more.
Dia, what inspires you most about women from different age groups who are shaping India's future right now?
Their will to succeed, their, their determination to rise above and beyond the circumstances that they are either born into, or, circumstances that are thrust upon them through whether they are environmental or health or whatever they may be. I mean, we are now, we have the privilege of being exposed to some of the most profound stories of women who are driven by purpose despite extraordinary circumstances. I am inspired by women in their 80s I meet in rural India, especially in the mountains, who carry gas cylinders on their backs and take them home. And you never sense the burden of the weight of that cylinder that they're carrying home. The women who are, rejuvenating groundwater, who are practicing sustainable architecture, women who are farming sustainably, learning new methods and techniques and teaching their families and the men in their families, bringing back their unemployed men from urban India to the villages because they have discovered the means and the resources to expand their, the means of their livelihood by starting kitchens where tourists now go and eat, because these are farm to table kitchens and they're so exciting and so inviting. There is nothing more powerful than women who are leading with integrity and with the resourcefulness that comes from their deep empathy and understanding of how their choices can elevate and shift and shape society. It's extraordinary. And I've given you these examples and not really examples of urban women, because we know the urban women stories, right? It's important for us to recognize that 60% of India's women live in rural places, and they have just as much right to dignity and life and health and education as we do. And most importantly, emancipation.
Dia, as someone who's deeply involved in environmental and social causes, how do you see women leading India's progress with compassion? And also, how do you see India actually addressing some of these very significant challenges, pollution being one, environment, lack of environment consciousness being other?
These have to be the central themes of our life, and these have to really be the themes that guide our choices every day. We cannot afford to allow our children to inherit a broken, fragmented earth that is unable to carry life forward. And that, means that we need to protect our soils. We need to enrich our soils. We need to protect our forests. We need to clean our air. We need to clean our waters. We need to bring in systems that not just protect and conserve, but also enrich and expand the cover of nature in our lives, in our country. Because, the single most profound expression of care for our children is environmental protection. Because it may be something that we inherited for free, but it's coming at a very big price because we've not respected everything that we've received in abundance for free. And this is something that people across the board have to understand, whether you are an industry leader or an entrepreneur or a policy maker or the chief minister. No matter what post you hold and what position you hold in life, if you are a person of family and you are a person who has people you love in this world, then it should be your profound and utmost responsibility to protect all that ensures and guarantees your loved one's health and life and survival.
Prajakta, I have to ask you this, and as an Instagrammer, if Viksit Bharat were a Gen Z reel, if Developed India was a Gen Z reel, what would you really like to cut out? Would it be excuses? Would it be jugaad? Or personally for me, I think it would be patriarchy, but what would it be for you?
Patriarchy, 100%. All the time, every chance you get.
Prajakta, you work closely with youth platforms, global causes. What's that one Indian problem that you think Gen Z can actually fix much faster than our netas?
I'm a creator on the internet and I've spent all my time there, and I know what that ecosystem kind of works on. And I feel very happy to be a creator at a time where we actually have a lot of Gen Z people kind of at commanding positions on these platforms. When it comes to climate action, I think one of the best things that has happened to that conversation because of Gen Z is that it has become cool. And I know it could sound frivolous and flimsy to say that, but talking about the climate, being sustainable, talking about organic changes you make in your life has kind of become like a badge of cool. And I feel like whatever works for it works. And I like that. I like that the younger people today online have kind of taken a very serious conversation and kind of made it easier to adapt to everyday life. The fact that everybody wants to carry a sipper in their hand because it's cool, but at the same time, they're not buying plastic bottles everywhere they go for water. The fact that everyone wants to thrift, it is cool, but at the same time, they're also not investing a lot in fast fashion and kind of being more sustainable with outfits and fashion and stuff like that. The fact that young people in places of command are actually using those authoritative positions to do beach cleaning drives, to do sustainable things in their corporate structures, are reaching a point where they're asking questions as to why does your office always have all these plastic bottles? Why can't you have a refillable water plant in your corporate? You're a huge corporate. So I feel like the best thing they have done to this is that they've made it adaptable and cool.
And there are many women today are rewriting success on their own terms. What message would you share with such youngsters, with such women who are transforming families, communities, and workplaces without getting the kind of recognition that they ideally should get?
What I've learned from women like Dr. Vandana Shiva or the Stock Sisters, Purnima Devi Barman, I can think of many other women, but let me take just these two examples for now. Shabana Azmi, let me take her name too. She's from my industry, my world. What I've learned from these women is the power of sisterhood. So no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, form a sisterhood. Collaborate your forces with other women, because nothing will help you grow more than the support of women in your lives. And we feel it too, right? We know this. When we have that one friend who listens, who cares, who empathizes, who reads our silences, who even knows before we've uttered the word what it is that we're dealing with, it gives us extraordinary strength and the ability to continue doing what we do. And then when we find like-minded sisters who care about what we care about, we can do great things with our lives. And I see this even in younger women now, young girls like, say, Nidhi Pant, who is, making food products out of waste agricultural resources that would otherwise be untouched, but are totally and perfectly usable. She's empowering women at the grassroots, women farmers especially, and providing them with livelihood. And she now is a part of a community of women that support her, that mobilize and strengthen her efforts. I feel it too as an artist. I have a sisterhood of artist women actors who are bold, who are strong, who are brave. And whenever each of us or any of us feels afraid or feels, a little low on power at any level, we mobilize each other, we support each other, we celebrate each other. And I think that's very important for women. And that would be my advice to women everywhere.